Hello, everybody. This is the group number one. We talk about functional ingredients in Latin America. So let's start.
Alzheimer's disease. This is a progressive mental illness characterized by degeneration of nerve cells in the brain and a decrease in the brain mass. The basic manifestations are memory loss, temporary and spatial disorientation, and intellectual and personal impairments.
Clinical manifestations. The early signs of Alzheimer's disease could be disorientation in time and space, changes in mood and personality, fatigue, difficulty in making decisions, and more. And the symptoms of this disease are language problems, cognitive disturbances, memory loss, nausea, aphasia, apraxia, tremors, and more.
The prevalence in the worldwide is about 25 to 29 million people suffer from dementia. In Ecuador, we have 65% in the women from the 66 and 71 years old. The 35 represents in male. About risk factors include age, cardiovascular disease, and emotional problems.
Moving on to Mexico, in 2020, there are around 1.3 million cases reported. Adults over 65 years old represented around 65% of total cases, and there was a higher prevalence in low-income communities due to poor diets, among other factors.
Deficient or excess nutrients. Some foods high in trans fats and sugars are triggers of Alzheimer's, while the consumption of foods rich in vitamin C and E prevents this disease.
In the first place, we have apple. There are many bioactive compounds in apple, but the main one that is linked to Alzheimer's disease is quercetin, a flavonoid with a high antioxidant capacity that helps fight this disease. Next, we have lemon juice. Lemon juice has the characteristic of acting as an antioxidant, inhibiting the damage caused by free radicals while combating toxins and other harmful components for health.
Hibiscus flowers contain water and fat-soluble antioxidant compounds. The flavonoid glycipine found in the calyx of the flower has a very similar chemical structure to quercetin. Raspberries can help protect the brain from the effects of a high-fat diet, and they contain natural pigments called anthocyanins that are the ones who prevent the brain from oxidative stress.
There are products in the market, especially juices, that contain foods rich in antioxidant compounds and neuroprotectors like quercetin. Some of these products are not targeted towards Alzheimer's, but they are directed towards the health-conscious population. Nevertheless, there are products like sangue juice, which include sangostine and other ingredients that prevent liver general. And so these products that are mostly focused juices include ingredients like cucumber, apple, celery, lime juice, spinach, ginger, parsley, spirulina, beet cranberry, raspberry, and candy salmon.
In Ecuador, the apple was selected because several studies have described the ability of quercetin to act as neuroprotectant. It has been shown that this flavonoid protects neurons from oxidative damage while reducing lipid peroxidation, thus having positive effects in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease.
In Mexico, we chose the raspberries due to the fact that they have been shown to protect neurons from oxidative damage. 100 grams of raspberries approximately contains 12 milligrams of quercetin, which is our compound of interest and which produces this protection of the neurons. And also from a raw material standpoint, Mexico is positioned as the second largest producer of raspberries in the world.
As it was said, we are going to use red raspberries and apples for our product proposal. Our product is going to be red raspberry water kefir. Water kefir it's a fermented beverage that has probiotic properties. We're going to use apple peels to extract quercetin because it has a quercetin content that ranges from 2 milligrams to 7 milligrams in 800 grams. And we are going to use also raspberries. We are not going to we are going to use raspberries for to add flavor to our product, but we're not going to extract quercetin from raspberries because they have a low quercetin content, approximately zero point 0.8 milligrams in 100 grams. Our bioactive compound is quercetin and it has a bioavailability that it's less than 2%. There is not enough research that states the amount of quercetin that is needed to prevent Alzheimer, but in several studies, the recommended dose of quercetin as a dietary supplement is a gram per day, so we're going to use that in our beverage.
Unit operations, extraction. Water at this condition become less polar and more efficient solvent so it can be used to extract quercetin. Quercetin is mostly found as a glycoside in natural food sources and these are the most bioavailable forms of it. Encapsulation. Complex conservation is a microencapsulation technique that is extensively employed in pharmaceutical, food, and agriculture industries. The process involves the interactions of oppositely charged polyelectrolytes in aqueous forms. This is a liquid-liquid phase separation. This technique has a high encapsulation efficiency and relatively lower cost of processing.
The next unit of operation is mixing the ingredients. This step is applied to produce a consistent and balanced fermentation because the sugar being added must be completely dissolved in water to guarantee the kefir grains have access to an equal amount of sugar in the mixture. This step allows the kefir grains to be hydrated and activate the fermentation, as well as distributing the flavor equally in the finished product. Then, the fermentation takes place in between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, but the optimal temperature range is from 20 to 25 degrees Celsius with 24 to 72 hours, with the proportions of 6 to 30% of grain and 6 to 10% of sucrose. This will lead to the generation of ethanol, carbon dioxide, lactic, and acetic acid that gives the water kefir its texture and flavor. Then, the process continues with the step of filtration where the water kefir passes through a plastic sieve with the objective of removing yeast clusters and sediments that may have been generated during the fermentation. As well, it generates a better texture, increases the shelf life, and makes the product more visually appealing.
Vacuum packaging removes oxygen from the bottle and allows for a longer shelf life. Quercetin is highly susceptible to oxidation, and the presence of oxygen can accelerate its deterioration. Removing oxygen aids in the preservation of this compound. This also inhibits aerobic bacterial growth, which could degrade the functional compound of the drink and the drink's sensory qualities. Finally, opaque packaging will protect the drink from direct sunlight, which can also degrade the compound. Low temperatures through refrigeration can help preserve the quality of the antioxidant properties of the compound. Temperatures should be around 0 and 4 degrees Celsius, and this temperature considerably slows enzymatic and chemical reactions, which would also degrade the quercetin and alter the drink's sensory qualities and its general appeal to the consumer. By storing it in refrigeration, along with a low pH due to the fermentation, a longer shelf life can be achieved.
Regarding the feasibility of the process and product, it's important to mention that subcritical water extraction has the potential to be scaled to more industrial quantities compared to other methods of extraction, such as microwave-assisted extraction and ultrasound-assisted extraction. The product also contains enough quercetin to meet established requirements, taking into account into its viability and the body's capacity of absorption. Another key aspect is that the current market has many fermented beverage options such as kombucha, but water kefir still has untapped potential. There are little to no options in our respective regions. Finally, the extraction of the target compound uses a food industry waste that is apple peel. This minimizes environmental impact and takes full advantage of bioactive compounds instead of letting them go to waste.